Incredible single dad brings child to interview. What the CEO revealed changed everything forever. Jake took a deep breath, glancing down at his daughter, Lily. Her big brown eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, a stark contrast to the polished glass and steel of the tech firm. They'd arrived early, and he could barely take in the sight of fresh graduates, their tailored suits and bright smiles a reminder of everything he struggled against. Unemployed and now juggling 2 low-wage jobs, he needed this to provide for her, to give her the world. But today, he had dared to bring her along, hoping that the love he bore for her would shine through in the interview. When they entered the lobby, security guards in crisp uniforms shot them a skeptical glance. The whispers from fellow applicants reverberated in his ears, fueling the anxiety in his chest. Is he really serious? A woman in a suit muttered, eyeing them both. Bringing his kid here? Jake felt a pang of doubt. Was this bold choice a mistake? He couldn't shake the feeling that they didn't belong in this realm of ambition and achievement. Yet, there was Lily. She stood tall despite her petite stature, her mischievous smile lighting up the dreary air. Daddy, maybe they just see how brave we are, she whispered, her innocence a balm to his troubled thoughts. As they waited, she danced from foot to foot, and her giggles chased a few of his worries away. When the interview finally began, Jake's heart raced. The CEO, a seasoned veteran known for his no-nonsense demeanor, scrutinized Jake's resume and asked tough questions. Just when the tension felt overwhelming, Lily jumped up beside him, tugging on his sleeve. Mr. Boss, did you know my dad makes the best pancakes? Chocolate chip. The room fell silent, and in that moment, Lily had somehow broken the icy barrier surrounding them. The CEO's stern expression softened. Is that so? I had no idea I was meeting a culinary genius today. The laughter that followed was genuine, a ripple of warmth that filled the previously sterile setting. Jake couldn't believe it. Lily had managed to turn a stifling interview into a shared moment of joy. But just as they started to connect, dread settled into Jake's mind. As if on cue, his phone buzzed with an urgent text. A pipe had burst back home. Water was flooding their living room. Panic washed over him. He turned pale, clenching his fists. He could rush back to save their home or stay and push for the job that could finally lift them out of this cycle of struggle. The voices in his head clashed. This could change everything he thought, but then there was Lily, peering up at him with wide, innocent eyes filled with trust. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing on the precipice of life-changing decisions, Jake could feel the weight of hope and responsibility crash over him like a tidal wave. Would he choose the fraying edges of ambition or the unshakable bond of fatherhood? He knew that whatever he decided, it symbolized more than just a job or a home. It was about what kind of father he aspired to be. As he stared into those innocent eyes, the challenge wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. What would he choose? Jake's heart raced. He felt torn in two, and the chaos of emotions trapped him in that one precarious moment. The phone buzzed again, and his eyes flitted back to the screen. The image of their living room, water pouring, furniture soaked, memories threatened, haunted him. Daddy? Lily's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. She grabbed his hand, squeezing it with all her tiny might. Are we okay? Her faith in him pierced through his overwhelming wave of worry. What did he want to teach her? Resilience? Sacrifice? Could he let her down like that? The CEO, observing the exchange, leaned forward, his expression shifting from skeptical to intrigued. You know, family comes first, he said, surprising Jake with his compassion. This job, it's not going anywhere. For a brief second, Jake saw a flicker of understanding in the CEO's eyes, a reflection of something more profound, a shared human experience of balancing work, life, and family. What would you do? Jake found himself asking, the words escaping him before he could clamp down on them. If you were in my shoes. The CEO paused, considering. I think we all face crossroads. Choose what fills your heart, and what allows you to look in the mirror and feel proud of that reflection. The job can wait. Jake's chest swelled with hope. This man had just given him permission not just to be a dad, but to prioritize his daughter. But the realization sunk deeper. He still didn't know what was best for them. Daddy, can we go home now? Lily's gentle plea pulled him from his thoughts. The cupcakes will be burnt if we don't hurry. The playful reminder sparked a smile on his face. The idea of burnt cupcakes and soggy furniture grounded him back to reality. This was about her, not just the leaks or the job. I think Jake started, looking back at the CEO. I need to take care of my daughter first. I can't just leave her alone. The CEO nodded, the warmth in his expression genuine. Family first. Always. Jake took a deep breath, standing taller now. He was no longer gripped by fear but fueled by determination. He glanced down at Lily, who was now busy spinning in her own little world, oblivious to the high stakes surrounding them. All right, Lily. Let us go home, he said, keeping his voice steady for her sake. Yay! Can I help fix the living room? She squealed, her excitement brightening the atmosphere. They turned to leave, and as Jake stepped out of the office, he felt lighter. Outside, he pulled Lily closer, their fingers interlocked, a simple yet profound connection reminding him of his priorities. But once in the parking lot, he felt the weight of reality press in again. Home awaited, a mess that felt insurmountable. Yet, he also held on to a flickering flame of hope, the knowledge that he had made a choice, one that defined him as a father. Suddenly, his phone vibrated once more, and he saw a message flash across the screen. You might want to contact your landlord, he has some solutions. Jake stopped dead in his tracks, a mix of dread and curiosity washing over him. Could this be a blessing in disguise? Even as he faced the challenges ahead, a new potential path to security was somehow opening before him. Daddy? Lily's voice pulled him from the whirlwind of thoughts again. What's wrong? He looked into her eager eyes, the weight of uncertainty still heavy. I just received another message and maybe it's good news. As he got into the car, he couldn't help but wonder what would this message mean for their future. Would it bridge the gap between their struggles and their dreams? Was this the moment everything changed, or just another twist in their journey? With Lily humming a tune in the back seat, Jake clenched the steering wheel, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Because family mattered, and so did hope. What would the new message reveal, and how would it shape everything? As Jake pulled out of the parking lot, the familiar streets of his neighborhood wrapped around him like a comforting hug. The hum of the car engine was drowned out by his racing thoughts. His heart pounded with a mix of excitement and anxiety about the message from his landlord. What solutions could he possibly offer? Daddy, are we going to have cupcakes? Lily chimed from the back seat, her innocent question pulling him back from the precipice of worry. He glanced back at her, her small face beaming with joy, the light of a child who saw the world as a canvas for adventure. Yes. Even burnt ones will taste great if we make them together. Can we make them with sprinkles? Sprinkles and icing. Jake smiled, eager to get lost in this simple moment of joy. They arrived home to find the front door slightly ajar. The smell of dampness seeped out, intertwining with the scent of burnt toast. It was a comfort and a reminder of the chaos waiting inside. As they walked through the entrance, Jake's heart sank. The damage from the leak was worse than he anticipated. Water had pooled on the wooden floor, and some of their furniture was damaged. Whoa, it's a mess. Look, Daddy, the couch is wet. Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with surprise. Yeah, it's a little messy right now, Jake replied, trying to keep his tone light. He dropped his keys on the counter and knelt beside her. But we can fix this together, right? Right. She said with unyielding enthusiasm, making him feel a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. As they began to clean, the doorbell rang. Jake straightened up and exchanged a glance with Lily, who bounced on her toes, curious. "Maybe it's the landlord," she said, and Jake couldn't help but chuckle at her flair for optimism that he opened the door to find a tall man with kind eyes and a clipboard. "Jake. I'm James, your landlord. I heard about the leak and wanted to come by personally, see how bad it really is." Jake stepped aside to let him in, his nerves fluttering. It's not great. But I received a message that maybe you have some solutions." James surveyed the damage and nodded thoughtfully. "The good news is we're due for a renovation in this area. If we can catch the leak early, I might be able to get you a temporary reduction on rent while we fix this." He paused and offer you some upgrades when everything's done. Jake felt an overwhelming rush of relief. "Really? I'd appreciate that more than you know. Family comes first, right?" James said, echoing a sentiment Jake had just encountered earlier. "You deserve a home that works for you and your little one." Jake nodded, the weight on his shoulders lifting slightly. This means a lot. As they discussed plans and potential timelines, Lily began to draw pictures on the damp floor with her fingers, creating whimsical shapes that brought laughter to the moment. Jake watched her, feeling proud yet overwhelmed. After James left, they returned to the kitchen. "Now, about those cupcakes," Jake said, shaking off the remnants of stress. "Can we have rainbow frosting?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Of course. The mess can wait." Jake chuckled, feeling lighter inside. As they whipped up the ingredients, laughter filled the kitchen. For a moment, it felt as if nothing else mattered. They created colorful swirls of frosting and playfully fought over sprinkles. But as they savored the first bites, Jake's phone buzzed again. The screen glowed with a message from the CEO. "Do you want to follow up about that project we discussed? I think you could bring something special to the table." Jake's heart raced. Would this be the chance to elevate his career, or was he still meant to keep his focus on family? How would he balance this new opportunity with being there for Lily? "Daddy?" Lily's voice broke through again, drawing him back into the warmth of their home. "Yeah, sweetheart. Can we always make cupcakes like this?" He smiled down at her, the uncertainty swirling in the air. "Always." But as he stared down at the message, a question loomed: was he ready for this next step, and could he truly juggle it all? What path would he choose, and how would it change their lives? Jake wiped his hands on a dish towel, the kitchen still warm from their baking adventure and the air sweet with the smell of sprinkles and frosting. Though the mess around them lingered as a reminder of the leak, the cupcakes brought a sense of normalcy back to their chaotic lives. Lily sat cross-legged on the floor, her tiny hands busily decorating one of the cupcakes, the colorful icing splattering across the paper. "Look, Daddy. I made a rainbow." She held it up proudly, her cherubic face illuminated by glee. "That's the brightest rainbow I've ever seen." Jake replied, his heart swelling with pride. He couldn't help but be awed by her ability to find joy in the ordinary. Yet, as her laughter rang in his ears, the buzzing of his phone reminded him of the weight of reality. The message from his CEO was more than just a casual nudge. It was an invitation that had the power to turn his hopes into a reality, or to spiral him deeper into uncertainty. He could already feel the familiar tension in his chest tightening. "Daddy, are you okay?" Lily's soft voice cut through his thoughts. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just thinking," he answered, forcing a smile. Lily tilted her head, studying him. "You always do that when you think. Please don't think too hard. I want to eat cupcakes." Jake laughed, the tension melting a little. Okay. Cupcakes it is." He pushed the phone aside and focused on her, fully embracing the moment. They continued decorating, each swirl of icing a step further away from his worries. Later, after the last cupcake was garnished and they had baked away the afternoon, Jake sat back down at the kitchen table, a content Lily at his side with her icing-covered fingers. He couldn't ignore the message any longer. He opened his phone to check the CEO's text again. It lay there, bright and insistent. What if you brought Lily with you? I want to meet the person who inspires you. Jake's heart skipped a beat. Was that an idea worth considering? He envisioned the startled look on his boss's face, then remembered how much joy they shared when working together. Still, what kind of father drags his daughter into a business meeting? What would you think about coming to work with me tomorrow? Jake asked, his voice shaking slightly, as if he were testing the water. Lily's eyes sparkled as wide as her cupcake. You mean it? I can go to the big office. Yeah, the big office. A small smile crept onto his face as he also felt a thrill of excitement. But it might be a little boring. You'd have to be quiet and well-behaved. I can be good. She exclaimed, diving into a new cupcake, the frosting smearing her cheek. I'll bring my crayons. Okay then, crayons it is. Jake bit his lip, uncertainty creeping back. Could he really make this work? The next morning dawned bright and early. Jake nervously dressed in a shirt that felt a size too tight. There was no denying he was feeling the pressure. He glanced at Lily, dressed in her Sunday best with a backpack filled with coloring supplies, and her smile lit up the room. Ready for your big debut? He asked, kneeling to her level. Yes. She exclaimed, her little fists pumping with excitement. As they headed to the car, a nagging feeling gripped him. What if his professional life clashed with parenting? What if the CEO didn't see in her what Jake saw? As he buckled Lily into her seat, the weight of doubt settled back in. The drive was a blur, both of them buzzing with anticipation. Jake's mind bounced between thoughts of his work and the impending encounter ahead. But when they pulled into the parking garage and the building loomed above them, he felt a surge of dual emotions, fear and pride. Together, they walked into the busy lobby, Lily holding his hand, her little shoes clapping against the polished tile. But as they stepped into the elevator, a sudden thought crashed over him. What if this moment changed everything for them? Jake's heart raced as he pushed the button to the top floor. The doors closed slowly, sealing them into the metal box where opportunity awaited or disaster. Do you think I can make crowns? Lily asked innocently, breaking the tension. Definitely, he replied, swallowing hard. You'll be the star of the show. And in that electric moment, Jake realized he was about to bank everything on this chance. The doors opened to the bustling office, and just as he took a deep breath, the question hit him like a wave: was he ready to take both a personal and professional leap, together with Lily at his side, into the unknown world of possibility? What awaited them in the conference room, and would they rise together through this journey, or crash under the pressure? As the elevator doors slid open, Jake felt a rush of people and noise envelop him. The air was thick with the aroma of fresh coffee and the hum of busy conversations. His heart pounded in rhythm with the footsteps around him, a mix of anxiety and excitement coursing through his veins. Wow! Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. The bright overhead lights reflected off the shiny floors, and the towering office walls felt like they reached for the sky. She tugged at Jake's hand, pulling him deeper into the maze of cubicles. Stay close, okay? Jake said, trying to maintain his role as both father and professional. He looked around, spotting a few familiar faces from his team. They were dressed in crisp suits, focused on their work, but he felt their eyes on him, curiosity mingling with admiration. Is that a tower of computers? Lily asked, pointing at a row of sparkling machines. The innocent wonder in her voice reminded him of what this day was truly about. Yes, it is. And those are the people who make the magic happen, Jake said, though his mind drifted. Could this day really shift his fortune? As they approached the conference room, Jake's pulse quickened. He took a deep breath and pushed the heavy door open, revealing a long table surrounded by stern-looking executives, including his CEO, who pinched the bridge of his nose as he looked at some papers. They barely lifted their heads as Jake walked in. "Hey, everyone," Jake said, trying to inject warmth into his demeanor. "I brought a little visitor today." Lily stepped forward and beamed at the group with her innocent smile, clutching her crayons like they were gold. "Hi. I'm Lily." Silence hung in the air for a heartbeat, then laughter broke out. Jake looked at the executive team, surprised to see softened expressions. Even his CEO cracked a smile, the tension in the room dissipating like steam from a kettle. "Nice to meet you, Lily. I hear you make crowns?" the CEO asked, leaning back in his chair, intrigued. "Yes. And rainbows," Lily answered earnestly. She leaned closer, her voice dropping a conspiratorial tone. "And I'm here to help my daddy." "Oh really? We could use a helping hand around here," the CEO said, shooting Jake a glance that hinted at understanding. Jake felt something lift inside him. Maybe bringing Lily was the right choice. As he exchanged glances with his boss, a connection formed, one that blurred the lines of professionalism and parenthood. "Great. Why don't you sit here with me while we talk?" Jake gestured to a chair at the far end of the table, away from the main spotlight. Lily climbed up, her feet barely touching the floor, her eyes now wide with curiosity and excitement as she surveyed the room. "What is the most important thing you do here, Daddy?" she asked, her voice breaking through the murmurs around the table. Jake glanced around. The executives, curious and slightly amused, turned their attention back to him. "Well, I help our company grow and make sure we do good work for our clients." Lily nodded solemnly, her little brow furrowing as she absorbed the weight of his words. "Like making cakes. Exciting from nothing." Laughter erupted again, but this time it was genuine warmth, echoing through the room, and Jake saw how his daughter's presence had lightened the somber atmosphere. As Jake began explaining more, he felt a thread pulling him closer to his truth. Their bond transformed the dialogue. He wasn't just a dad juggling a career, he was a man trying to showcase his world through laughter and love. But as he spoke, he couldn't shake an underlying worry. Would this casual atmosphere last once they got down to the tough questions about numbers and projections? Just then, the CEO raised a hand. "I sense we might be more productive with a little creativity today, thanks to our special guest," he said, looking directly at Jake. "Let us brainstorm ideas. Lily, would you prefer colorful charts, or maybe we can do a drawing session?" Jake's heart lifted at the idea. Perhaps this enrollment wasn't just about surviving the day, it could be the beginning of something greater. Excitement coursed through Jake as they shifted gears. Maybe they'd work together as equals after all. But in the back of his mind lingered a question that made his heart twist: could vulnerability lead to opportunity in his professional life? With Lily's laughter ringing through the conference room, Jake stood on the edge of revelation. What if, amidst all this, he could redefine his identity as both a father and an ambitious professional? And as he glanced at Lily's joyful face, a thought sparked: what else might unfold today? The moment the word creativity left the CEO's mouth, the atmosphere shifted. A wave of energy swept over the room. Jake could feel it. They were no longer just a group of stiff executives, they were open to something new. A different kind of meeting was unfolding, one where imagination could bloom. Lily clapped her hands. "Colorful charts. I love colors." Her excitement was infectious. Jake's colleagues exchanged glances, the ice had undoubtedly broken. Jake couldn't help but smile, drawing strength from his daughter's enthusiasm. "All right, let us get some markers and paper," the CEO said, clearly engaged now. "We'll create a vision board together. Lily, lead the way." As Jake watched Lily dive into a box of colorful markers, his heart swelled with pride. She was shining, her little face lit with determination. With her, he felt braver. Maybe he didn't have to hide the dad side of himself in the office. Perhaps bringing her here was an invitation to be fully himself. The executives gathered around, some hesitantly at first, but as they watched Lily sketch rainbows and stars, the barriers began to dissolve. They picked up markers and began to draw their own ideas, their laughter mixing with Lily's squeals of delight. Seeing the top guns of his company become playful, Jake felt lighter. This was not the usual staid approach to business, this felt human. What does a successful company look like to you, Lily? One executive ventured, his voice tinged with curiosity. Lily paused, her little fingers hovering above her drawing. It looks like a place where everyone has lots of colors and we all help each other make cool things. Jake's heart raced. What wisdom wrapped up in her childlike simplicity. He heard the murmurs of agreement ripple through the room. For a moment, it felt like they were on the brink of something profound, something that could touch their work lives in ways they hadn't expected. Exactly. That's what creativity is all about, collaboration. The CEO exclaimed, making notes on the corner of a nearby paper. It was exhilarating to see everyone rally behind this spark of inspiration, a spark ignited by a child's perspective. Yet as the meeting flowed toward this new direction, an unexpected pang crept into Jake's chest. He realized he could be part of this change, but could he keep this energy alive outside the conference room? Would the same open-heartedness follow them back into the usual grind of deadlines and stress? Just then, a loud knock on the door jolted him from his thoughts. The office manager peeked in, her face turned serious. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent call regarding the merger. It's about numbers, and it can't wait." The room went silent, and every face dropped back into the serious lines of office life. Jake's stomach nodded. There was no escaping the hard truths of his professional reality, even amidst such vibrant creativity. Let's take a break before diving into numbers. Refresh our minds, the CEO stated, trying to maintain the energy. But Jake could see the flickers of doubt starting to return. As Lily scribbled away, lost in her world, Jake felt the balance shift. The joy of the moment collided with the pressures creeping back in. He had fought hard to bring those colors to life, but would that light fade away with the shift back to seriousness? Jake knelt next to his daughter. "Hey, Lily, how do we keep the colors flowing, even when we talk about numbers?" She looked up, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. "Maybe we can make them colorful too. Like rainbows in the sky." Her innocence hit him hard, a reminder that business could be lively, meaningful, a mix of laughter and hard work. But as he looked around the conference room at his team's anxious expressions, doubt nibbled at the edges of his resolve. Would they allow room for creativity in the realities of their pressures? With the room still alive with Lily's drawings but tension growing, Jake faced a crucial moment. What was he willing to fight for to keep this balance alive? He took a deep breath, held his daughter's hand, and prepared to respond to the call that could change everything, not just for him, but for his team. What if today, amidst the worries, he drew a new line, one where numbers and creativity could coexist? As he stood up to confront the looming demands, he felt the weight of possibility in the air. Perhaps a new vision was on the horizon. What he didn't know was just how much this moment would impact not just his career, but the essence of how he saw himself as a father and a leader. And just as he opened the door to uncertainty, the question hung heavy in the room: could he reshape his workplace with the vibrant colors of resilience, or would he find himself retreating back into the shadows of convention? Jake took a deep breath, holding Lily's tiny hand tighter as he moved to the front of the room. The somber energy from the urgent call loomed large, but he had a different idea flickering in his mind, an idea fueled by his daughter's innocent yet profound wisdom. "Everyone, I know we're facing serious matters ahead," he began, his voice steadying. "But let us not forget the colorful ideas we just painted together. Just because we're dealing with numbers doesn't mean we have to leave creativity at the door. Our thoughts can be colorful, vibrant, alive even when we're diving into the metrics." He glanced at Lily, who was nodding enthusiastically as if she understood exactly what he was trying to say. She brought her marker up to her drawing, adding a smattering of purple stars just for good measure. Jake looked back at his colleagues. The unease in their eyes was palpable, but he could sense a flicker of intrigue. How can we turn our figures into a story? Every number tells a part of our journey. Let's make our vision for this company a narrative, not just a report. The executives exchanged glances, their expressions softening. Then he went for it, a leap of faith. Let us commit to viewing our work through the lens of creativity, blending our analytics with imagination. What if every quarterly report reflects that not only success in dollars but success in ideas? What if these numbers contributed to the story Lily drew? One of the executives, a finance director, raised an eyebrow, skeptical yet curious. You think we can really blend numbers with creativity? Jake smiled, a spark igniting in his chest. Why not? If we can see colors in our charts, then we can also infuse life into our meetings and decisions. We can craft visuals that represent our goals, not just the bottom line. Each brainstorming session can be filled with laughter and ideas, just like today. The energy in the room shifted. They were no longer just executives in stiff suits, they were problem solvers, artists, visionaries. Jake felt a wave of hope sweep over him, and it fed into the power of the moment. Let us keep Lily's lesson alive, he added confidently. If we are to inspire creativity, teamwork must mirror that notion. We need to support one another, push boundaries, and explore new ideas. He caught a glimpse of Lily's drawing colors dancing together, a balanced swirl of possibilities. In that moment, Jake realized they were standing on the edge of something extraordinary. Perhaps it wouldn't just be about merging finances, it could be about merging minds, the finance director's expression softened. All right, Jake. Let us see how we can put this into motion. I see the potential. The CEO chimed in, a grin spreading across his face. This could redefine how we approach our workflow. A colorful quarterly presentation. I'm intrigued. Jake felt a rush of validation. For the first time, he could see the rigid walls of corporate life beginning to crack. But in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the worry, was it realistic? Would the momentum sustain past the meeting? As ideas began to flow, rainbows poured upon the canvas of numbers. Jake stifled the looming fear. Could he trust himself, trust his team to embrace this new wave of creativity and collaboration? Lily raced over to him, her eyes sparkling with excitement. See, Daddy. It's just like making art. Yes, it is, sweet girl, he said, a rush of pride swelling in his chest. But doubts still lurked. Would it last? Would they embrace this shift, or would corporate life suffocate the vibrant spirit they had just unearthed? As the discussion continued and new ideas surged, Jake felt the edges of anxiety begin to dissolve. But the gaping question remained, could he really maintain this newfound balance, or was it just a fleeting moment of brilliance? One thing was clear: change was brewing, and whether it would take root or wither away remained to be seen. Jake tightened his grip on Lily's hand, ready to take on whatever awaited them on this creative journey. The door to the future stood ajar, but it was up to them to step through. Little did he know, the biggest challenge was yet to come. Would he have what it took to fight for this new vision, not just for his work but for his family? As the meeting wrapped up, Jake felt a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty. Ideas were vibrant now, swirling in the air like confetti, but he couldn't shake the feeling of impending pressure. He glanced down at Lily, still engrossed in her drawing, her face alight with joy. How could something so simple resonate against the backdrop of corporate warfare? He waved goodbye to his colleagues, their cheers and laughter echoing behind him as he walked out. Jake's heart raced with hope, but a nagging voice pulled at him. What if the enthusiasm didn't last? What if they fell back into the same monotonous meetings, lifeless discussions defined by spreadsheets and KPIs? Outside, the crisp air washed over him like a refreshing shower. It was as if the world had shifted just a bit, infusing him with new energy. He held Lily's hand tighter as they strolled past vibrant murals along the sidewalk. Each mural depicted stories, the struggles and triumphs of people, much like the journey Jake wanted to see at the office. "Can we do that with our numbers, Daddy?" Lily asked, her voice bubbling with curiosity. "Absolutely," he replied, his mind racing with possibilities. "But it's going to take work from all of us." As they rounded the corner, a small street fair came into view. Colorful tents lined the streets, filled with crafts, homemade goods, and delicious smells. The sight made Jake smile, and Lily's eyes widened in awe. "Can we go, please?" she pleaded, bouncing on her toes. "Sure, let us explore." They wandered through the fair, Lily stopping to inspect handmade jewelry, toys, and art displays. For a brief moment, Jake allowed himself to forget about the corporate world and just enjoyed being a dad. Laughing together, he watched her as she marveled at everything around her. But with every laugh came a twinge of anxiety. The thrill of the day began to dim when the thought of his presentation resurfaced. If they couldn't make those ideas a reality, wouldn't he be letting his daughter down? He wanted so much more than a job. He wanted to cultivate a creative spirit for not just his daughter but for everyone in the office. "Look, Daddy!" Lily exclaimed, pointing at a booth selling colorful paints. "Can we get some? It'll help us make our ideas more beautiful." The idea struck him like a bolt of lightning. "That's a great idea. Let us get some and start a project together." They approached the booth and collected a handful of paint tubes, the vivid colors mirroring the inspiration surging within him. As they stepped away, Jake glanced at his phone. An email notification popped up from the CEO, subject line flashing, "Next steps for project." His heart skipped a beat. Was it too soon to hope? Back at their small kitchen table, they spread out the paints, brushes, and paper. "We're going to create something incredible together," he informed Lily, excitement creeping into his voice. Within minutes, they were submerged in color, shapes, and laughter. As they painted, it struck Jake how creativity flowed naturally between the two of them. Each stroke felt like a promise, blending their worlds, her innocence and his ambition. But just as he began to feel completely at ease, a shadow flickered across his mind. Would it really work? The fear nagged at him. The corporate world often chased away the very creativity they were trying to harness. Before he could puzzle through it, Lily suddenly declared, "Look, Daddy. This is our rainbow of ideas." Her face radiated joy as she held up their creation, a burst of colors splashing across the paper. Jake smiled, warmth flooding his chest as he realized this was only the beginning. Maybe in those moments, they could build something brighter and bolder than numbers, a vibrant vision of creativity and love. Yet, just as hope filled his heart, another email slid into view on his phone. It was from the finance director, and the title read, "Urgent, discussion required." The urgency of the moment was palpable. Was this the challenge that awaited him? Would he rise to meet it, or would he watch the colors of their vision dissolve into the gray of another meeting? He glanced back at Lily, her smile illuminating the room. It was time to put everything to the test. "Ready for what comes next?" he asked her, and she nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. Jake took a deep breath. He wasn't just fighting for numbers anymore, he was battling for creativity, purpose, and the future. The question lingered in the air, would he be able to keep this alive when the true challenges presented themselves? Only time would tell. Jake felt a surge of determination as he picked up his phone, the urgent email from the finance director hanging over him like a dark cloud. He took a deep breath and tightened his grip on the paintbrush in his hand. Lily's laughter still echoed in his ears, grounding him in the joyful moment they had just shared. With a renewed sense of purpose, he started to clean up the paint, hopeful that whatever lay ahead would not diminish the creative flame ignited today. "Can we make more rainbows later, Daddy?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she poured another dab of paint on the table. "Absolutely, sweetie," he replied, his voice steady. "But right now, we need to see what the grown-ups need from us." He wanted to protect this newfound joy in their lives, yet he couldn't ignore that the corporate world could easily pull the rug from under them. The contrast between their colorful creation and the sterile confines of his office felt unnerving. What if he showed up with the same fervor tomorrow, only to be met with skepticism instead of support? As they cleaned up, Jake suddenly found himself contemplating a new idea. What if I brought our painting to the meeting tomorrow? A reminder about creativity? He thought, envisioning how it might help bring their vision to life. I think it would definitely help. Lily squealed, her innocent enthusiasm wrapping around him like a warm hug. Her belief in him fortified his spirit. He carefully tucked away their masterpiece, vowing to present it as a symbol of their collective creativity. After finishing the tidying, he took a moment to cherish the sight of Lily happily engaged in her world of colors, bubbles, and shapes. "Hurry, Daddy. Let us read a story," she called, bouncing in place that he chuckled, realizing he had been lost in his own thoughts far too long. Sitting down with her, amidst the scattered paintbrushes, he opened a storybook, and for a moment, the outside world faded. But as he read, he could feel the email lingering like a whisper in the back of his mind. The urgency of the corporate calls echoed faintly. What awaited him tomorrow? He just hoped that his genuine intention to inspire would reach his colleagues, to register beyond the usual metrics that often dictated their decisions. As he turned the pages, he could see Lily engulfed in the tale, slipping into another world. He wanted to do that for her, the dreams, creativity, and imagination instead of grappling with numbers and graphs. When the story ended, she looked up at him with wide eyes. "Do you think we can make our own story?" Jake smiled, the hint of tears stinging his eyes. "We are already doing that, sweetheart. But I need to keep working hard, just like the heroes in the stories." "Don't worry, Daddy. You're the best hero," she assured him, leaning into his side. The sincerity in her voice poured into him like sunlight breaking through clouds. He realized they were co-authoring a story. It would be theirs, a testament to resilience and creativity. Later that night, after tucking Lily into bed, he couldn't shake the anxious knot in his stomach. As he sat alone in the dim living room, coffee cooling beside him, he stared at the vibrant painting resting against the wall. Tomorrow could shift everything. An image of himself stepping through the conference room door flashed in his mind. Would he be bold enough to push for an environment where creativity could flourish alongside profit? Or would he falter under the old ways that stifled innovation? As he finally drifted off to sleep, the weight of his thoughts pulled him under, a soft whisper echoing, could he truly be the hero of this story? The morning light streamed in, and as he opened his eyes, he made a silent promise. He would fight to protect their light and perhaps, create something extraordinary. But just as Jake began to envision what tomorrow could hold, his phone vibrated with an alert. An unexpected name flashed across the screen. He hesitated, then swiped to open it. It was an invitation for a one-on-one with the company CEO. Would this be the opportunity he had been waiting for, or yet another test of his resolve? Jake's heart raced as he read the invitation. A one-on-one meeting with the CEO. He felt both exhilarated and terrified. All at once, the colorful dreams he had for both his career and for Lily surged back to life. It was the very chance to bring their creative vision to the forefront, but the stakes were high. He glanced toward the living room, the vibrant painting they had created together still leaning against the wall, a symbol of their journey. This was more than just a meeting, it was a moment that could reshape everything. After making breakfast with Lily's favorite, chocolate chip pancakes, he watched her carefully, her blue eyes sparkling with innocence. "Daddy, are you excited for work?" she asked, mixing syrup with a splash of milk in her cup. "Absolutely, sweet girl," he replied, savoring the warmth bubbling in his chest. "I'm hoping to share our rainbow painting at the meeting. To remind everyone of the colors we can bring to our work." Her face lit up at the thought, her small hands clapping with delight. "It's like a treasure map. With lots of surprise ideas." "Yes. It's full of possibilities." Jake's heart soared. Today held promise, and no matter what happened in the CEO meeting, he had already won simply by nurturing creativity with Lily. As he dropped Lily off at school, she hugged him tightly. "I'll be waiting to hear all about it," she chirped, skipping toward her classroom. Stepping into the office, Jake felt the energy shift around him. The brightness of the day contrasted sharply with the polished edges of the corporate world. But he was ready. He took a deep breath and marched to the conference room with the painting tucked securely under his arm. As he entered, he found the CEO waiting, his expression warm but curious. "Jake. Good to see you. I've been looking forward to this." "Good to see you too." Jake chuckled nervously, setting the painting on the table. "I brought something I think you'll like." The CEO raised an eyebrow, intrigued. As Jake unveiled the colorful masterpiece, a hush fell over the room. Laughter erupted as the team recognized his daughter's handiwork. "This is incredible. So much energy," the CEO exclaimed, running his fingers over the vivid colors like a kid admiring a treasure. Jake could feel the tension melt away, their laughter mixing with Lily's joy from the morning. "It's a reminder of how creativity can drive our business forward, not just the numbers," Jake began, his voice steadying. "This represents hope, collaboration, and inspiration. Each stroke tells a part of our journey." The executives leaned in, clearly captivated. Jake poured his heart into his words. He spoke about creating a space that fostered innovation, where everyone could see their contributions reflected in the company's success. As he shared his vision, the CEO nodded, eyes brightening with understanding. "You're right, Jake. It's time for us to infuse this energy into our processes. We need that childlike wonder while tackling the serious business." Jake's heart raced. Could it be moving in the right direction? As the meeting continued, Jake felt the atmosphere shift. Ideas flowed like colors on a canvas, as everyone contributed their thoughts on how creativity could inform their strategies. If he had any doubts, they melted away. Once the meeting wrapped up, the CEO extended a hand. "What you've done here today is incredible, Jake. Let us incorporate this approach moving forward. We can brainstorm ideas together, implement more creative sessions. You're onto something special." Jake's heart soared. This wasn't just an offer, it was recognition, an affirmation of what he had hoped to cultivate, where both his identity as a father and professional could thrive. As he stepped out of the conference room, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over him. He had stood firm in his truth and it had paid off. Later, as he picked Lily up from school, she rushed toward him, bursting with energy. "Daddy! Did you share our painting? Did they love it?" "Yes, they did. And guess what? We're going to have more moments just like today, filled with creativity." Her eyes widened, and in that instant, he knew he had created something beautiful, not just with paint or business plans but a new foundation for their lives. As they drove home, the sun setting over their small town, he felt empowered by the journey, not just for himself, but for her. "Look at that sky, Lily. It's a masterpiece. Just like our painting." She squealed in delight. And as Jake beamed at her, he realized this was only the beginning. Together they could conquer anything. Not just in business, but in life. This was the moment everything changed forever, not just for Jake, or for Lily, but for the vibrant family they'd continue to build together. Now, it's your moment to shine. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to help the algorithm spread this inspiring content. Comment your emotions about the ending below. What did it mean to you? And don't forget to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.